Wake up, babe. New Age of Imprisonment trailer just dropped. Good morning. It's your girl, Ashley T. I woke up like 4 seconds ago. Here's what I have to say without watching the trailer more than one time. The biggest thing for me at the very end of that trailer, as is the case for most people, it seems, judging by the comment section, is hearing Fee's theme at the very end. We got one moment of Fee's theme. This is not the first instance of Fee, the spirit of the Master Sword, coming through across the era of the Wild. Now, as we know, in Breath of the Wild, Zelda was able to hear Fee from within the sword the moment that Link fell at Fort Hateno, and it was in this moment that Zelda decided that it would be necessary to send Link off to the Shrine of Resurrection. We know again that Fee was heard at the end, I believe at the end of Breath of the Wild, but the chime of Fee, the character, the spirit of the Master Sword coming through, it happens a number of times in Breath of the Wild, and then very crucially, Fee is once again involved in Tears of the Kingdom, particularly near the end of the game. Once again though, speaking with Zelda. Fee, in the era of the Wild, is speaking primarily to Zelda, which is interesting because obviously the Princess of Hyrule, in this game, in other games, is not, the chosen hero of the blade. But I think it's important to remember that the wielder of the Master Sword is intended to be Hylia's chosen hero. And one of my crackpot theories, is that in the era of the Wild, Hylia's chosen hero actually shifts back and forth between being Link and Zelda, because Hylia at the end of the day is sort of the counter to Demise. She is the light to the darkness, right? Some people consider her a bit of a chess player, a manipulator. You can paint her in the goddess in whatever light you so choose, but her sole mission is to ensure that the scales do not tip too far in one direction. The role of Hylia in the era of the Wild is also really interesting, and Fee is sent directly from Hylia to guide Link in the process of forging the Master Sword in the era of the skies, right? So Fee was created by Hylia, not by the three golden goddesses. So we got to trickle down here. This will swing back around to why I think this is so important to Age of Imprisonment. Oh my god, I seriously have to drink more coffee. This is 7 a.m. off dome. So the three golden goddesses, or the creation story of Hyrule as a whole, they were the ones that left the Triforce on the land. Why? For funsies, I suppose. But they entrusted Hylia, the lore that we received in Skyward Sword at least, they entrusted the goddess Hylia to protect the Triforce so that it didn't fall into the wrong hands, which it then just did repeatedly forever. But this was mitigated when Hylia herself, realizing that protecting the Triforce was going to be a bit of a scenario, chose to reincarnate, or to put her body into a mortal, creating the first ever Zelda. And I haven't read the manga, and I don't know how canon it's considered anyway, but supposedly there was a first hero. There was a hero before the hero of the skies, but we do get the first canonical instance of Link, the beginning of all links in Skyward Sword. And so Hylia devised a plan here, right? She was like, I am not tough enough to save Hyrule, maintain balance here, because Demise is a force to be reckoned with, and protect the Triforce, which is my whole shindig, in the body that I have, because a god or a goddess can't make a wish on the Triforce itself. So she was like, no biggie, I'm going to become immortal. She becomes Zelda. And then that wouldn't have been enough, because now Hylia needed to split her focus into two. One, she had to retrain this mortal body to remember all of her memories, so that at least the plan would be remembered by someone, her, but in another body. And then she needed a baddie. She needed someone to protect her mortal body and also to fight physically against Demise when the time came. And so she created Fee. And Fee's sole purpose was to guide Hylia's chosen hero, Link, through the process of forging the Master Sword from the Goddess Sword to the Master Sword to become the Blade of Evil's Bane, the sword that seals the darkness. And then it did. Congratulations. And at that point, the companion, Fee, this amazing little robot lady, I will not accept Fee slander, okay? Yes, she's annoying, so am I. We are both wonderful. At the end of that title, Fee took it upon herself to protect the whole world, really, protect all of Hyrule, protect the people, by embedding herself permanently within the Master Sword to assist in containing Demise, or the energy of Demise, within the blade. And so Fee's Farewell, one of my favorite themes of all of the Zelda music. It's heartbreaking, it's nostalgic, it's heartwarming, it always makes me cry. This final farewell song is played at the end of Skyward Sword, super, super emotional, and then Fee is gone, right? She is within the Master Sword. And so the continuous lore here is that in every other title that the Master Sword appears in, so too would Fee. And then we go all the way down the timeline, so far into oblivion, and then now we have the Era of the Wild. The Master Sword at this point, though, it's been so long that I guess the magic or the seal or the presence that Fee has within this blade has clearly deteriorated. Because if we compare the Master Sword from earlier titles, the power of the Master Sword, particularly from like Skyward Sword, where it takes down and then seals, not Ganondorf, not Ganon, not Calamity, no, like the source of all evil, okay? It was like, nah, got it, slice them like butter, put them in here like a box, like, I'm a fucking badass sword, right? Then we go all the way to the Era of the Wild, and it's like,
I need a nap.
Sorry, what was that?
I need a nap. I'm tired. You can't use me right now. I'm so sleepy. I had to fit into weapon durability, but for lore purposes, it means I am so weak now.
Yeah, so this has implications for Fee as well, right? Something's not right in there at this point. There's a seal, or maybe, you know, she's just aged so much at this point that she's beginning to fade away, which is not good. And so she shows up a few times. Like I said, this voice of hers, it's not just a noise, okay? I mean, it is just a noise. But it's not as though there's this chime and a pulsing of blue light coming from the blade that just alerts attention. You know, it's not like just, or however the fuck it sounds, that, you know, makes Zelda go like, what the fuck? Why is the sword making noise? No, the sword is speaking to her, okay? Fee was designed to assist Hylia's chosen hero and bonded with Hylia's chosen hero, who happened to be Link. This was before Demise's curse, right? This was before Demise bound the three of them, the blood of the goddess, any incarnation of Demise into the future, and the spirit of the hero. This was prior to that. I don't think Hylia is that fucking picky. That's my main point here. And I've maintained this little headcanon that in the Era of the Wild, Princess Zelda is Hylia's chosen hero. We see her make sacrifices for the Kingdom of Hyrule, both in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, that just, to be honest, they pale in comparison to Link's personal sacrifice. If you look at the story of Link, for example, in Ocarina of Time, as much as that is a Legend of Zelda, right? They're all Legend of Zelda. That was a Legend of Link. Lots of the games are Legends of Link. It's his story. But in the Era of the Wild, we're by and large telling Zelda's story. These two games, I'd argue the first more so than the latter, are the story of her and what she has done and what she's accomplished. And I think in a lot of ways that makes her very quintessentially heroic. She's heroic in other games. I'm not saying she's a damsel in distress in other titles. That's simply untrue, right? She's chic in Ocarina of Time, all right? Like, she is sick time and time again. But there's something very centered, very pointed about Zelda's like position here, about her story, about her chosen role. And so I think it's quite telling that Fee communicates specifically with Zelda, speaks to Zelda in the Era of the Wild. And it was something that I was really disappointed just was not followed up on much, if at all, in Tears of the Kingdom. It was something, you know, that I was like freaking out about in Breath of the Wild. And I think like we all focus on the moment where the Triforce showed up on the back of Zelda's hand in its entirety, holy shit, you know, as that being sort of like her power awakening. And I think we could consider that Hylia's power, the blood of the goddess, that sort of thing, like awakening. But at the end of Breath of the Wild, Zelda states that, I can't hear it anymore, I can't feel it anymore. And I kind of see this as a sort of like, dismissal is the wrong word because that sounds offensive, but it's Hylia saying, your time as my chosen hero has come to an end. I don't need you anymore, right? Take a chill. You don't need to be able to hear Fi anymore. You don't need to, worry anymore. Your power there as my chosen hero is going away because I don't need you. I'm going to go back to being Hylia. I'm going to fuck off until, I don't know, I want to manipulate two people again to make sure that the world doesn't fall into the end. So the apocalypse doesn't happen almost again. Fi speaks to Zelda quite obviously, or at least more explicitly than I think we see Fi speaking. Hold on, my cat's toy is under here somewhere. Is it? Yeah. And so we are once again getting a Legend of Zelda. This is a bit of a theme right now, right? We had Echoes, that was dope, and now we're getting a specifically and intentionally declared canon lore at least installment of a Zelda game. Is it a mainline title? No. We're getting yet another add-on to the legend of this Zelda. We get to see what she does in this incredible period of time that is also so poorly demonstrated to us. We get to see nothing of this era in Tears of the Kingdom, and obviously that pissed a lot of people off, me included. But now, we get to see Zelda kind of traverse through the Zonai era. This was not particularly interesting to me. I thought, cool. Yeah, I didn't play, Age of Calamity. I just watched every cutscene. I watched like a 4-hour video on YouTube of every cutscene from Age of Calamity for the lore. But then I was pissed off that the ending wasn't just everybody dying. There's something wrong with me. So when when I heard, Age of Imprisonment is coming out, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's probably not a game I'll play. And then they were like, oh, it's going to be canon. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll definitely listen to all of the cutscenes and I'll totally gobble up the lore here if this is new canonical lore. So I was interested already, but not super interested because the Zonai never really did it for me. The way that the team decided to take the story for, the sequel of Breath of the Wild, I don't even really usually like to call it that because it didn't feel like a story sequel to me. This is another topic for another time. But I kind of have just been like, nah, yeah, Zonai, fine. They did what they did with it. It just wasn't to my tastes. Now I'm interested because it wasn't that scene at the end of the Age of Imprisonment trailer that just dropped. That wasn't just a weakened Master Sword calling out. That wasn't just, maybe a little Easter egg for people that have played Skyward Sword, that are lunatics about this franchise. That wasn't, just a cheeky little nod back, right? Because the Wild era is rife with Easter eggs, or at least that's what we've had to call them this whole time because they haven't really had any explanation. But at the end of this trailer, in the way that Nintendo likes to drop the big thing, right? Nintendo loves to give us action, crazy time, awesome, Sonya and Raru holding hands. Okay, say what I will about the Zonai, but oh my god, this is so fucking cute. I'm so starved for love in this fucking franchise. They like to kind of lay it all out there. Pew, 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 awesome, cool, exciting. And then at the end, they put in something fucking intense, right? What is going on? This has implications. How far do these implications go? Who knows, right? But if we get a story in Age of Imprisonment that has anything to do explicitly with the spirit of the sword named Fi stepping into some sort of a mecha Zonai device, right? Because we saw Minoru do that. Minoru was able to put her body into a construct, right? A Zonai construct. The Master Sword is busted by the time it gets to Zelda, but it chimes for her, I believe, so she can still hear Fi, who might be like, yo, gonna die. I'm pretty important. You really need to resurrect me somehow. If we get something here, if Nintendo gives us a crumb here, okay, and we are able to witness Fi's spirit being put into a construct so that Fi can also become strong enough to be put back into the Master Sword, to have that cycle be repaired. If Zelda realizes, I know what I must do, it's not just her that becomes the light dragon and that is alone forever. It's actually her taking Fi, who maybe spent some time. Now I'm wondering, like, will Fi spend some time in a construct if we do in fact get something like this? Do we get like a revival of the spirit of the sword that eventually accompanies Zelda, at that final moment where she sacrifices herself? Is that why Fi speaks with Zelda at the end of Tears of the Kingdom, when she returns to the present day? If any of this is true, or if any of this is even partially included in this game, for me, it would make Tears of the Kingdom matter so much more. I'd probably replay it. I'm now just very curious. How much, if at all, are they going to tie the Zonai into like Zelda canon? Because I feel like they were pulled out of thin air. And if the Zonai had some role in repairing Fi, are we getting into a scenario similar to like the Song of Storms, where like, where is the beginning of a circle kind of thing? If everything that happened will happen because it already happened. TLDR, hearing Fi's farewell at the end of that trailer, I believe has massive implications, not just for how cool this game could be. I'm gonna try not to get too excited. I did that with Tears of the Kingdom. We all know how that turned out for me. I'm really optimistic. This could be something really fucking cool. Anyway, that's been your 22-minute lore rambling. I have once again been your host, Ashley T. You can find me on twitch.tv/AshleyTCozy. If you want to talk Zelda, then hit me up. Come join the Discord. Let's yap. See you in the maybe next one ever. And good luck to my editor for doing anything with this. Please don't let it just be my forehead the whole time. I haven't showered. I got like one eyelash extension left, alright? Don't do me dirty like this, dog. Okay, bye.